This is your prime time forecast for East Alabama, West Georgia from Dr. Don's Weather. Dr. Don's weather is made possible by the Randolph County Commission, East Alabama Waste, Southern Auction Solutions, Genesis Weight Clinic, Jimmy Stevens Construction, Anchor Roofing, the Town of Wadley, Auction 431 South, the Salem Auction House and Bama Diesel Repair. From the Alpha Weather Center, powered by Boondocks Barbecue and Creamery, Southern Union State Community College and the 5 Points Farms. Here's Dr. Don.
And good morning, East Alabama and West Georgia. Dr. Don in here with you on your Thursday morning. It is September 26th, 2024, and we're doing a live version of your primetime forecast because of Hurricane Helene, who is expected to make landfall later this afternoon or early this evening somewhere south of Tallahassee, Florida. Let me remind you, if you live in Randolph County, you got to sign up for Hyper Reach. This is one of those occasions where this could become very important to you if we start to have flooding issues across Randolph County this evening. Now, to sign up for Hyper Reach, all you have to do is text the word ALERT to 256-540-8664. You're going to receive a link. You click that link, and then it'll open up a form. You fill out the information, and then you'll be set to receive that local information from your local Randolph County Emergency Management Agency and the Randolph County Commission. Now, if you live outside of Randolph County, Google your local municipality or county. Odds are pretty high that you have a mass notification system in place as well. It's real important, folks, because you get weather information and emergency information from multiple different levels. You have the federal government, you have the state government, and then you have local government, and then you have the National Weather Service and the Hurricane Center all mixed into all of that as well. But to get that local information about local streets, local roads that are closed, you got to sign up for your local mass notification information from your local government, whether it's county or municipal. So in Randolph County, that is Hyper Reach. And again, you text the word ALERT to 256-540-8664. Also, be sure you get your ducks in a row with Dukas. Jamie Dukas can handle all of your insurance needs across Alabama and Georgia. Jamie is local to Woodland, Alabama. He's one of those good old boys. He'll either come sit down in your living room and write your insurance, or you can do it online and probably never have to talk to him if you don't want to. But Jamie's a pretty cool dude, so I think you're going to want to talk to him at 256-831-7770. In most cases, he can save you money, put money back in your pocket, and increase your insurance coverage at the same time. Jamie Dukas for all of your insurance needs across Alabama and across Georgia. Let's get into the weather this morning because we have a lot to talk about. First, let's talk about Hurricane Helene, and we'll take a look at some of the key points. Helene will rapidly strengthen today with a continued movement toward the Florida Gulf Coast. Landfall south of Tallahassee tonight as a major Category 3 or perhaps a Category 4. The tornado threat remains minimal across Alabama and Georgia, maybe with the exception of extreme southeast Georgia and southwest South Carolina. I'm talking about the Savannah, Tybee Island, maybe Hilton Head area. We could see some tornadoes down there, and we cannot completely rule out a tornado anywhere across East Alabama or West Georgia, but the odds of seeing a tornado are pretty low. Wind gust of 40 to 50 miles per hour tonight through Friday morning in extreme East Alabama, and that becomes more likely along the I-85 corridor. So you folks down there in Lynette, West Point, Valley, Auburn, Opelika, and South stand a better chance of seeing a few wind gusts of 40 to 50 miles per hour. Now, the wind's not going to blow at 40 to 50 miles per hour for an extended period of time. We're talking peak wind gust, and it may be that you only see a handful of wind gusts that make it to 40 and 50 miles per hour. Overall, we're looking at the 25 to 35 mile per hour wind gust with occasional gust 40 to 50 miles per hour. Your sustained winds will probably max out at about 15 to 20 miles per hour during the height of the storm, which again we believe will be late tonight into the pre-dawn hours of Friday morning. The window of opportunity for the worst wind will be after 10 p.m. tonight through about 10 a.m. Friday morning, and there's only going to be about 4 to 6 hours in there where we would see these types of conditions. The heaviest rainfall, it may end up being the legacy of this hurricane, and that could be a problem across central Alabama, east Alabama, and all of West Georgia, and of course, along and to the right of the track of the hurricane, it will be a problem. That's going to encompass most of the state of Georgia. Heavy rainfall of 4 to 8 inches, and this is for East Alabama and West Georgia, could lead to significant flooding today into Friday across all of East Alabama and West Georgia. We also have a wind advisory that remains in effect for central Alabama and a tropical storm warning now for Barber, Bullock, Chambers, Cherokee, Cleburne, Lee, Macon, Pike, Randolph, and Russell in Alabama. And in Georgia, we're talking about Carroll, Hurd, Troop, Harris, Meriwether, and Coweta of the Dr. Don coverage area. In those counties I just mentioned, 40 to 50 mile per hour winds will be possible later tonight into Friday morning. So let's look at a couple of things. Here are the key messages this morning. The tornado threat, again, is going to be very low. Wind gusts may reach 40 to 50 miles per hour. You see the track there on the map, and during the overnight hours, the track did shift back to the east by maybe 20 or 30 miles. It was a very minor move, but that I think we really are set on what this track is going to look like now. And most of East Alabama and West Georgia will remain on the west side of the eye, which is the side of the storm you want to be on if you have to be close to one of these things. You don't want to be along the track or to the right of the track because that's where the worst weather will be. So right now, as of the last update just a few moments ago, it appears that East Alabama and West Georgia will remain on the good side of the storm throughout the duration of this. That doesn't mean you're not going to have effects, because you certainly are, and we could see some power outages across central Alabama, East Alabama, and West Georgia. I was telling our Discord friends before we went live with you guys on Facebook and YouTube that with all of the rain that we have already received and the expected rain to come, it really won't take much in the way of wind to bring down trees. I mean, 15, 20, 25 mile per hour wind gust could certainly bring down trees in this type setup where the ground is already completely saturated across East Alabama and West Georgia. This, of course, could lead to power outages, potentially widespread power outages. So you need to be prepared if you're anywhere east of I-65 in the state of Alabama and the entire state of Georgia and the entire state of South Carolina and North Florida, even down into South Florida. You got to be prepared for power outages, because I think we're going to be looking at widespread power outages all across the southeastern United States before all is said and done. The second major threat here for East Alabama, West Georgia, and even up here in the northeast Georgia mountains is going to be flooding. We could be looking at significant widespread flooding as we start to receive these tropical rains later on today. Now, what does all this mean for those of you up here in the mountains of northeast Georgia? We have a lot of folks up here because that's where I live, so we have a lot of folks up here who watch us as well. The southern Appalachian chain is going to interact with this hurricane, and it could actually amplify the wind and the rain later on this afternoon and into the overnight hours. Right now, the Hurricane Center is telling us that 80, that's 80 plus mile per hour winds are going to be possible up here in northeast Georgia. Now, I would anticipate that those winds would likely be at the higher elevations. We're talking up on the ridge tops. We're talking about at the top of Blood Mountain. We're talking up at Unicoi Gap, the top of Richard Russell, which, by the way, if you live up here, you know where Richard Russell is. The Georgia Department of Transportation will close Richard Russell at 4 p.m. this afternoon, and it will remain closed until we get out of this storm. So don't try to get cute and ride up on top of the mountain to see if you can find some 80-mile-per-hour winds, because the gates will be closed at both on the White County side and the Union County side at 4 o'clock this afternoon. So it's going to be very windy and breezy. Again, I think the 80-mile-per-hour winds up here in northeast Georgia are at the highest elevations. I think for the rest of northeast Georgia, down to the lower elevations, we're probably going to be in the 40 to 60-mile-per-hour wind gust category for the most part, maybe with an occasional 70-mile-per-hour gust. Same for northeast Georgia as East Alabama and West Georgia. We're not talking about sustained winds that strong for a long period of time. We're talking about gusts. Now, our winds could be sustained up in northeast Georgia in the 30 to 40 mile per hour range from time to time after midnight tonight toward daybreak tomorrow morning. Nonetheless, widespread tree damage, power line damage, road closures due to trees across roads, and power outages are going to be an extreme concern up here in northeast Georgia. The Hurricane Center is comparing this event to Hurricane Opal back in 95, Hurricane Irma, and Hurricane Michael. Now, those are the three biggest hurricanes we've ever dealt with in Alabama and in Georgia. So the Hurricane Center, and they're using that in their statements they're putting out this morning. They are comparing Helene to Opal, Irma, and Michael. All three of those were devastating hurricanes across the southeastern United States. The most recent here in northeast Georgia was Irma, and we always use Irma as a benchmark to express that's not where we want to go. Because you'll remember we had massive tree damage and power outages, and Irma gave us a mess. And we may be looking at the same thing here again tonight into Friday across northeast Georgia. Most of the schools up here in Georgia have closed for today and for Friday. Across East Alabama and West Georgia, some schools have closed, others have not. The last I heard, Randolph County schools were still a go, and that's probably okay for today. I would monitor the weather throughout the day for the possibility, and I mean just a possibility, of maybe an early release this afternoon, but I wouldn't expect that. Now, tomorrow may be a problem across East Alabama and West Georgia for schools, simply because there may not be power as we get up on Friday morning. All right, so let's move across some more of our graphics here this morning. I want to show you the flood threat for the state of Alabama, and you can see that the flood threat is the highest across East Alabama, basically from Gadsden down to Anniston to Alexander City and Troy east is where the greatest threat is for flooding today. You get down there around Eufaula from Columbus, Phoenix City down to Eufaula, it's a high or extreme likelihood of seeing extensive flooding. And then across East Alabama, the potential for flooding is high. For the state of Georgia, most of the state of Georgia is in the high category for flooding, but look at northeast Georgia. We are in the extreme category, meaning that widespread flooding is almost a given. So we've got to watch that real close as we go into the afternoon and the evening. Flooding rain or wind threat, I should say, will back up to Alabama. Here is the wind threat. And the wind threat across East Alabama, 39 to 57 mile per hour is going to be the threat across most of East Alabama. And I know that the easternmost counties are under a tropical storm warning. And then the rest of you, such as Talladega, Clay, Tallapoosa, Coosa, you're not under that warning. You're under a wind advisory, but you still could see some wind gusts of 39 plus miles per hour from time to time. So that's the wind threat in Alabama. Here's the wind threat in Georgia. We're talking hurricane winds down in South Georgia, all the way up to a point just south of Macon. And then we have the rest of the state in a high likelihood of seeing at least tropical storm winds, maybe as high as 70 miles per hour in downtown Atlanta, and then maybe 80 plus mile per hour winds up here in the northeast Georgia mountains at the highest terrain. We're talking up on the ridge tops. So it's going to be a very windy and very wet ride across the state of Georgia, starting in the south and moving to the north as we go throughout the afternoon and during the overnight hours. Again, peak timing for all of this, and I'm talking the absolute worst weather of this entire event. The whole day is not going to be a good day. It's going to be wet, windy, breezy all day long today and tonight. But the peak window of opportunity for the strongest winds will come most likely across East Alabama and West Georgia after 10 p.m. tonight through 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, perhaps lingering into the noon hour or early afternoon up here in northeast Georgia. Now, you folks down there in South Georgia, and I'm talking south of Macon, down around Albany, your effects will start soon. Your effects will start sooner. You could start seeing some pretty high wind gusts this afternoon, and then the height of the storm should probably start shortly after dark tonight and will last throughout most of the evening for you down there in South Georgia. If you are anywhere south of Albany in South Georgia and you have somewhere else you can go, like west, I would do it. Even if you don't have significant damage at your home, odds are really, really good that you're going to be without power for an extended period of time. You get down there on the Florida-Georgia state line, the verbiage from the National Hurricane Center is suggesting it could be weeks, not days, not hours, weeks before your power is restored. That actually came from the Tallahassee Weather Office, which covers southern Georgia, in a statement they released last night. So no one has a tolerance level to that extent. You don't want to be in an area where you're going to lose everything. There will be no stores. There will be no drugstores. You will not be able to get your medication. You will not be able to get food. You will be sitting in lines miles long waiting to get ice and water from GEMA. That's what you're looking at for days, if not days, weeks. We're talking down there right along the Alabama-Georgia state line. I don't expect to see it to that extreme in Albany. But even in Albany, you could be looking at 3 to 5 days before you get your power back. We could certainly be looking at a Category 1, if not Category 2 in the Albany area. And you folks down there in South Georgia, pay very close attention to the weather this morning, at least through noon, because there is a possibility that this could, again, get bumped up to a 3 or 4 before landfall, and that's going to change everything for you in the Albany area. If the official National Weather Service forecast comes in at noon today and says, okay, we're going to be looking at a Category 4 making landfall south of Tallahassee, then you folks in Albany need to get out as well. You know who I'm talking to, Sam. We have a plan for that, and we're evaluating it this morning. But you can see the state of Georgia, literally every county in the state of Georgia is going to be touched by this hurricane. That's what's making this unprecedented. Plus, we've never had tropical storm warnings in North Georgia. These are inland tropical storm warnings. That's a new product the Weather Service started about 3 or 4 years ago. So that's a look at all of the graphics this morning. Let's go ahead and get into the current forecast, and we'll take a look at our current conditions currently at the venue at 5 Points Farms. In Chambers County, Alabama, currently 66 degrees outside, wind out of the north-northeast at 3, gusting to 5. That will slowly increase as we go throughout the day. Humidity at 100%, dew point 66. We had right at 2 inches of rain yesterday. Some of you had more than that. Some of you had a little less than that. High temperature yesterday was 79.8. We do have showers in the area. Sunrise this morning at 6:33. The sun sets this evening at 6:34 p.m. It is going to be a cloudy, muggy day. Temperature-wise, we're not going to be bad. It'll be breezy from time to time. It'll be raining from time to time. As we get into the afternoon, we'll start to see some of those feeder bands spiral up from the south into East Alabama and West Georgia. The rain will slowly increase in intensity, and the wind will as well. And then again, after 10 p.m. tonight through about 10 a.m. Friday morning, I think will be the height of this storm, and it won't be that extreme the entire time. This is going to come at us in waves as we go throughout this event. 71 in Roanoke. We have 74 expected for the high today in Sylacauga. We'll make it to 74 in Auburn. And Carrollton will top out this afternoon at 71 degrees. So here's the 6-day forecast from the Alpha Weather Center. Jamie Dukas, your local Alpha agent. How about a 100% chance of rain today? Tropical storms will be in the offering, especially this afternoon. 71 your high, down to 63 tonight. We'll maintain that 100% chance of rain this evening. Tropical storm warnings in effect for the easternmost counties of East Alabama and West Georgia. Wind advisory for central Alabama into East Alabama. And a flash flood watch covers the entire area across East Alabama and West Georgia. And also a river flood warning is in effect for the river there at Wadley. So below the dam at R.L. Harris Reservoir, south of Wadley, the river is expected to go into flood stage. At this point, we think minor agricultural flooding. But if we get another 5 to 6, 7 inches of rain this afternoon, there could be some significant flooding taking place there along the Tallapoosa River in the Wadley area. Then on Friday, we go back to just a 20% chance of showers by noon. I think by the time we kick off football Friday night, assuming we have electricity and we can play Friday night, only about a 10% chance of a scattered shower. It'll be breezy from time to time, but weather-wise, I think we're okay for high school football Friday night and for college football on Saturday. We'll go back. We should have changed that graphic. We go back to partly sunny skies on Saturday. Same thing for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of next week. Slow increase in temperature back up to 80. But, hey, we've got several days coming with temperatures in the 70s, so that is the silver lining in this cloud, I guess. Here we go with your Southern Union State Community College Live Doppler HD radar, and you can see a whole lots of rain across Georgia and South Carolina, even stretching up into North Carolina, Virginia, eastern Tennessee, and it stretches all the way back to about 600 miles south of the coastline, which is where Helene is this morning. And I've noticed a handful of tornado warnings this morning. As a matter of fact, we just had one along the I-20 corridor up there near Augusta, Georgia. It has since expired, but that cell that just worked over I-20 just west of Augusta, now moving up into South Carolina, did prompt a tornado warning just a few moments ago. And folks, any tornado warnings that are issued today are going to be what's referred to as short-fused warnings, meaning that you're not going to have a 15, 20-minute lead time on these warnings. When the Weather Service says tornado warning for your county, go to your safe place right then. Don't wait because these things spin up very quickly and then they go away very quickly, and typically they're very small and only affect a very small area. I don't anticipate seeing a lot of that today, and especially in East Alabama and West Georgia. If you're west of the track, I wouldn't expect to see any tornado warnings. But over there in extreme East Georgia, potentially up here northeast Georgia and western South Carolina, we certainly could see a few tornado warnings today. Zooming back out, we'll take you down to the Gulf Coast, and I'm going to take you in on the current track that we have in place for the National Hurricane Center. We're looking at landfall somewhere southwest of Tallahassee, maybe just to the east of Carabel. And that would come sometime late this afternoon or early evening. Then it would track up near Tallahassee, then to a point just east of Albany, Georgia. Between Albany and Sylvester would be the expected track as a Category 1 hurricane. And then that turn back to the northwest should start, and the hurricane will track near Americus, Georgia, then over Thomaston, and then to a point near Griffin, just east of Peachtree City. And look at that, right along the connector through downtown Atlanta, if this verifies. And then to a point up through Cobb County, and then just to the east of Calhoun, and then maybe emerging in Tennessee, just east of Chattanooga, up near maybe Athens, and then between Nashville and Knoxville, and then taking a hard left-hand turn up there around Cookeville, Tennessee. So if you see where that red line is flashing, that's the expected track of the storm. If your location is to the right over here, then you're in the area where the worst weather will take place. If your location is to the west, all the way back into East Alabama, you're going to get some effects from this, but I don't think it will be anything like what we will see over here on the right-hand flank of this storm. So you see that we do have a lot of showers out there this morning. Most of it is in Georgia. I'll take you in close on East Alabama and West Georgia. You see a few scattered showers there on the western, southwestern side of Randolph, and then the eastern side of Tallapoosa County. And then when you get down there around Columbus, Phoenix City, down to Eufaula and Dothan, we get some heavier showers there. Folks, in this type of environment, when you're looking at a radar, understand that yellow and red is monsoon rain. And if there's going to be a quick spin-up tornado, it's most likely going to happen in those areas where you see yellow and red. Even the greens in this type of setup will suggest very heavy rainfall. Typically during severe weather in the spring and the fall, you look at the red for the heavy rainfall. Well, not in a tropical setup. If you're seeing echo returns of any color, it's going to be significant rain, but those yellows, that is monsoon rain, and the red is going to be like almost a 100% column saturation, like somebody pouring a bucket of water on top of you. So if you see that yellow coming towards you, get ready. You got some extremely heavy rainfall, and if there were to be tornado warnings, they most likely will come from those areas of yellow, or perhaps maybe some of the reds as well. So that's a look at the radar this morning, and that's pretty much a wrap on our update this morning. Let me remind all of you that we do all of this based on your support, and we have to have your financial support to be able to keep doing what we do. And we're in our 6th year of coverage for you here on social media. We primarily cover East Alabama and West Georgia, but in cases like this, we cover the entire southeastern United States, and we depend on you to support us to be able to keep us going. Now, we have several partners, and we need more partners. So if you own a business, if you're part of a civic organization, a municipality, a county government, and you'd like to be a partner with us on Dr. Don's Weather, just send me a message on Messenger or Discord, and I can point you in the right direction and have you started before we do our next update. Individually, you can support us as well, and we depend on you. One of the things you can do to support us, if you'll go to our weather store, and there's a link at the top of the video where you can click on it and pick up a coffee cup, a t-shirt, or a baseball cap. Part of the proceeds come back to support us. Also at the top of the video, you will, all of our videos at the top on Facebook, at the bottom on YouTube, you'll find multiple different different links and different ways to support us. If you just want to make a donation to us, we greatly appreciate that. If you want to do it through Facebook stars, we greatly appreciate that. There are all kinds of ways for you to support us, but we depend on you to be able to continue to do this. So please consider supporting us if you possibly can. So here's the deal, folks. Those of you who know me understand that I work in emergency management up here in Northeast Georgia. I'm the Deputy EMA Director and 911 Division Chief for White County Public Safety. And my duties today are to manage the Emergency Operations Center starting at noon today and then for the duration of this storm. So it's going to be a very busy afternoon and night. Now, I believe that I will be able to go live from time to time and give you updates, probably up until the point to where we get into the height of the storm here in Georgia. Once that starts happening, posting on Facebook may be the only, and Discord may be our only two options there for several hours after midnight tonight toward daybreak tomorrow morning. So that is the plan. I will keep you updated as best I possibly can as we go throughout the day and throughout the night. Make sure you're prepared for power outage. That's going to be the biggest threat across East Alabama and West Georgia, along with flooding possibilities. Make sure that you have got everything you need to survive 3 to 5 days with no power. Folks, be very careful with candles. I know a lot of folks like to use candles for light when power goes out. That's extremely dangerous. Make sure that you have batteries and flashlights. Make sure you keep your cell phones charged. Having some of those extra batteries for your cell phone that you can just plug up is a good idea. If you guys out there, if you have a jump box that you use to start your vehicles, make sure they're charged, because you can use that to charge your cell phone if you need to. That's one of the tricks I use up here. So be prepared. Think about what you would need if you go 3 to 5 days without any electricity, so you can get through this. Be safe, be prepared, be weather aware, and watch out for updates coming from Dr. Don's Weather as we go throughout the day today and into the height of this thing tonight after 10 p.m. through sunrise tomorrow morning. Godspeed. I hope you all be safe out there, and good Lord willing, the creek don't rise. We'll see you back in here real soon for another edition of your primetime forecast on Dr. Don's Weather.
This has been your primetime forecast for East Alabama and West Georgia. From the Alpha Weather Center, powered by Southern Union State Community College, the venue of Five Farms and Boondocks Barbecue and Creamery. Dr. Don's Weather is supported by the Randolph County Commission, East Alabama Waste, Southern Auction Solutions, Genesis Weight Clinic, Jimmy Stevens Construction, Anchor Roofing, the Town of Wadley, Auction 431 South, the Salem Auction House, and Bama Diesel Repair. Be sure to like us on Facebook, share us with all of your friends, and subscribe to Dr. Don's Weather on YouTube. We will be back tomorrow morning with another edition of your primetime forecast on Dr. Don's Weather.